You need to understand and disassociate how you feel about things. If someone tells you go to hell, if someone tells you you're scum of the earth, or so whatever it is, it's like even anyone here on the call, like not in a disrespectful way, none of you guys can say anything here that would hurt my feelings. I'm not really too concerned to have your opinion of me sway how I feel about me. If my wife told me some stuff about me, it'd be different, right? So I'm really clear on who it is that I allow kind of move around my like emotional thermostat, if you will. But when it comes to leads and talking to people, I'm just a nice, charismatic guy. They're not about it. It's all good. Don't take any offense and I move on. But the key thing is, for me, it's no different than fishing. It's not like you fish 2 times, you don't get a bite, and you're like, oh, this fishing rod is shit. This lake sucks. Today's the worst day ever. Essentially, what you're doing is saying, I'm okay with my continued pursuit and I actually enjoy it, right? And the other thing is, when you're doing leads, this is the goal. You're quickly defining, are they going to be a part of your future or a part of your past? However, here's the cool thing. Both, you have to have the same emotional bandwidth for.
Nice. Tons of people joining us today. Hello, everyone. Archie, good to see you. Jennifer, good to see you. Nikki as well. Good to see you guys. Tons of people. Cool.
Hey, what's up?
Hello, Jennifer. Alrighty. So with us today, we have David. We have David Rubio out in Ontario, the one and only. He, just as a quick reminder, he was with us about a month ago, more or less. He's working with Jake Nicole. So here to share some insight, here to talk about whatever's going on with you guys. I know Jen's just been having some conversations this week. Couple other people. So any questions, any scenarios, anything, feel free to bring them up, and I'll leave the mic open here for David.
Awesome. What's going on, guys? Hope everyone's having an awesome time. And most importantly, hope you guys are all enjoying your summer. The market come August and December, that's when I'm doing my planning. I'm not really too avidly trying to push deals across the finish line. So if a lot of you right now are like, damn, it feels a little bit slow, you use this time to work on the business and not work in the business, right? So there's 2 differential points as a operator that we got to be doing at the end of the day. So right now, I hope you guys are enjoying your summers and having some time to work on the business. And super grateful to be here today and would love to bring any value that I can do for any of you guys. Give a little bit of background. I don't know who on this call maybe has heard about me or heard any of my stuff. I've been in real estate since August of 2017. Since my career, I've sold a little over $350 million worth of real estate. And just to make that super clear, the bulk of that was through a solo career. I've only really started to expand from administrative staff and other agents over the past maybe 12 months. It's been a pretty slow roll on that. And with that all being said, year to date, I've already grossed and cleared over $980,000 in commissions. The reason I'm sharing that is because I just want to let you guys know that when you're asking me any questions, I always like to elevate and let you guys know who it is that you're getting some answers from, because I'm always super skeptical in our industry of who I take any advice from, because it's all smoke and mirrors, right? So I always like to start every time I have an opportunity to speak to everyone, put it exactly out there, like no different than a hockey player or a basketball player. Here's my stats, here's my shot on net, here's what you can get from me, right? So with that all being said, what can I do for any of you guys? I always like to do these, like there's only 14 people on this call. Man, I'd love to 14, I should be able to impact all of you in some capacity, and I'd love to do it anyway. So if you guys just want to start ripping some questions, whatever they are, I'm going to do my best to answer them for you. And if anyone else has a different take that they'd like to put on it as well, I'd like to make it as collaborative as possible. Cool.
Now we have some shy people here today, but I do know that there's some conversations going on. Gotham, I know that I got a notification earlier, you were just setting up an in-person appointment. Again, Jen, I got a message from Aaron that you just started having some productive conversations this week. Maybe you want to share a little bit of that.
Hi, thanks for putting me on the hot spot. Appreciate that. No, I just got started. Thanks for having me. Appreciate being able to get some advice from someone who's doing the do and slaying it. So I literally just got started, had my very first conversation yesterday. It went super well, and then it just took a nosedive. So I went back and listened to the conversation, and I clearly missed something super important in the very beginning. And I am listening to it and I can't even figure out what it was. So I definitely want to follow up with this prospect and just say, thank you so much. It was so great to connect with you. But I'm not even sure what to ask because I can't figure out what I missed. We had almost a 10-minute conversation and I was like, oh, great to talk to you. I guess I don't need you. And I'm going, okay, great. So I'm just not really sure what to ask at this point.
Yeah, so here's 2 things that really help you understand. Every time I'm speaking with somebody, I always like to do my best to qualify that person, right? Like a good conversation doesn't mean good business. And I've told a lot of my agents that because you all often go door knocking too often and people are like, oh, come on in. And you got stuck with like the single, widow with a cat and you're like, oh, shit. and you're just stuck there for way too long. Whereas I would be like, oh, I'd love to spend some more time. Here's my card. If you have any questions, like I know how to read those situations. So that's number one, is pre-qualifying. And then number two is understanding like, where did you make a mistake? So maybe you didn't make a mistake. It's not about you missing that opportunity or finding it. And the best way to figure that out is to pick up the call and just be sincere. I don't like this salesperson bullshit. That's not how I operate. I would call exactly like that and go, hey, Jen, like, I know we spoke yesterday for about 10 minutes. And I got off that call thinking like, oh, what the heck happened? So I just figured I'd give you a quick ring, like, and that'd be it. That'd literally be my call. And they'd be like, well, you know what? We actually don't need to sell right now or whatever it is. So clarity is power. And I'm always just trying to quickly get some sort of answer from somebody. And sometimes it's not me, it's their situation, or there's just not a time for that. So I would never let anything like that discourage you. I would just encourage you to sharpen your awareness skills of the type of people you're talking to and sharpen how you can get clarity. Because I speak with people all the time and I don't take offense to it. It's just like, yeah, they don't need me right now. And sometimes I even propose and go, hey, Emmanuel, you know what I'd propose? There's no need for us to meet right now. You're telling me you're 2 years out, you need to retire first, and then you're not even sure if your daughter is going to be going to school in British Columbia, or if they're going over here. So it seems like so many things. So what I propose is, rather than me bug you and make me come into your home, let me keep you up to date with the market. I'm going to send you an update every month. Like I do that, and people go, oh, that'd be great. So I just try to figure out where they're at and how I can slot in value. And sometimes I go the opposite and go, man, if you want to be in your new place in 6 months, I need to meet with you last week. So it's super important that I come by sometime this week so we can start putting a plan in play. Does that make sense? And then I'd close them, right? So that would be my couple of tidbits for you.
I love that. I appreciate that, because I went back and listened to it and I kept thinking, he giving me so many mixed signals. And I, on some of the other talks I'm hearing, so many times we get someone and we all want the guy or the lady who says, yes, I want you to sell my home right now. Perfect. I'll be right there. And we never get that. They don't know what they want. And I'm thinking, okay, how do I talk to this guy? And immediately I'm going, I want to call him back. And I was exactly thinking that I don't know what to say. So gaining clarity. Perfect.
So, and here's what I'd say as well. And I've been like this since the beginning of my career. One of my mentors told me, he's like, hey, David, salespeople have like an icky vibe and they get paid okay. He goes, consultants get paid way more. And that clicked to me. And I was like, I'm not a salesperson. I'm a consultant. I'm trying to help people with the real estate plans and consult for them, streamline the communication, streamline the process, streamline their expectations, and show them how to get a point Z as butter and effortlessly as possible. And I'm the guy to make it happen. When I talk to people like that, they're like, where do I sign? Like, what do I need to do? And it's done. And that's how I've also been, like, even with my amount of volume that I do in relative to my commissions, I make way more than a lot of my competitors because I take full commission. I've never taken a break. I just don't. Because I'm like, I'm cool to find that person who understands my value. So again, that would be my words of encouragement to you. You're a consultant, not a salesperson. So just generally try to help that person. And the only way you can really help is if you ask a lot of questions. You got to get deep with your questions and have an understanding of what it is they're looking for, what they need. So then you can provide some of those answers. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful for you. And I see another hand over here from Gotham. Brother, how are you, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing great, thanks.
Yeah, I just had a question. So I have a client who has a beautiful home. It just doesn't compare to anything in his neighborhood. It's a Toronto. It's a 3-unit home, basically. So it has 3 separate units. He purchased it when it was 2 units, converted the, I think the garage area into a 3rd unit, and he's been renting it out. Great income. Properties around him are at most 2-unit homes. So getting him a comparable, it's just a little harder for me. Would you suggest moving out of his, because I've been focusing on his neighborhood and his city. Its city is North York, saying it's almost Scarborough. So would you suggest moving out of the city to find comparables, or just stick within there and just find the closest comparable and then just scaling it up a bit more, but considering it is an extra unit?
Yeah, no. So here's what I do for like multifamilies. Number one, is it vacant? If it's not, and there's current tenants in it, that's actually, so people need to understand too, and I've seen a lot of people do this. I've made this mistake myself. When you're valuing with a triplex or anything greater, it's not about the brick and the mortar and the finishes. It's about the dollar that can get brought in. So now it's essentially looking at cap rates, and you're almost looking at a commercial deal. However, if it's vacant, it's worth way more, because when people go to close on it, the banks will do a fair market rent assessment for every single unit at its peak. But if you go into a deal and there's a tenant here, the bank's going to ask for the lease agreement. You give it to them. It's from 5 years ago. They're paying really low market rents. It caps off what the property is going to get appraised for. Therefore, the buyer can't pay as much, right? So I would focus first on saying, hey, Mr. Seller, how many of these units are occupied and or vacant? If they're all occupied, go ahead.
Yeah, you know, he one of the units and rents the other two out, so it's not vacant right now. So he does.
Gotcha. So here's a super simple thing. You can go, hey, listen, this one's only renting for $1,800 a month. This one's renting for $1,800 a month, and yours would rent for actually 24 because these guys have been in here for a little bit. So based upon that and where the market is, people actually financially can't afford to spend more than 1.4. It doesn't make any sense. So that's one way to approach it. And then I would list it double. I'd list it on the residential side, and I'd also list it commercial. So I would double it just to get double exposure and show them, hey, most agents won't structure like this, but I'm going to go that extra step for you, do even more legwork, but I'm going to increase our buyers from investors and end users, right? But to get the most amount of money, get it vacant. That's what I tell them as well. And if they say I can't, then I'm helping them self-understand that you're not getting peak dollars then. Like, it's just how it is, right? So that's how I would structure that. And then I would go from, hey, these are going for, let's just say, I don't know, 1.4 million. And I would say, man, having that additional third unit maybe puts you at 1.6, right? And then get an agreement of like, we're going to test the market together. And at the end of the day, the market's going to speak for us. And since we're in a bit of a weird market right now, I'd probably overprice just a little bit to give myself the improvement if I needed to change the price one time, that I kind of baked that into it already. And that would do.
Okay. So I believe he has students renting the other two units right now. And I did ask him about it. If he were to sell it, would he get the tenants out of there, or would, like, what's his plans there? And he said the tenants would more than be happy to stay there, but he could get them out of there if he needs to.
Yeah. Everyone on this call, if you want to sell a property for the most amount of money and give it its fair chance, you need to get the pre-existing tenants out. I don't care if they're the nicest people in the world. We're now becoming such a level of subjectivity, tying that with the transaction, and it's going to mess up the dollars. So I'd rather have no subjectivity, have just direct business, and make it happen. Okay. So, and that's come from so many times where I thought maybe this, no, like now that's a rule. I tell my clients, if you want to leave the tenants in there, no problem. Just don't get mad at me when I don't get you the most amount of money. That's it.
Makes sense. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no worries, man. Go get that listing. Also, too, I get it exclusive ASAP.
Yeah, he's in right now. As soon as he gets back, I already gave him a really rough valuation. I told him as soon as he gets back into the country, I'm going to swing by and we can check it out together. And I'll be able to lock it down for him, a better number. But yeah, no, as soon as he gets here, I'm going to get him exclusive.
Yeah, I get it exclusive ASAP, and then I would let him know at the exclusive. If there's ever hesitation, take the exclusive at a little bit more.
Yeah.
Give me the opportunity to try to get this within our own, internal networks. And then you can come back to him and go, hey, listen, here's what my results were. Here's what I didn't find. You're already working with them, and you've kind of already helped them put pen to paper. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Okay, cool, man. Go get that. Victor, how are you, man?
Good. What's going on? Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for your time, David.
Of course, man.
I have a little situation here. I'm working with one of the partners here in Bascula, right? So the situation here boils down to Victor basically asking me, I have this case, I have the situation where I spoke with them once, I spoke with them twice. What is there to talk about the next time? And I said, well, listen, brother, if you spoke with the lead once or twice, and if you basically create a conversation, right? You basically ask questions, you active listen, you found out the need, you have a lot of things to follow up with. And so I presented 10 ways or 10 different things to follow up with this lead, but it's still, it's difficult for the individual to kind of get to the bottom of that. So I just want to go ahead and have you maybe share your 2 cents regarding that. As someone who follows up with the lead the first time and has no idea what to do for the second and third call or what to engage with.
Oh, man, that was a great question. Sorry, my team's trying to call me. Give me 1 sec. Yeah, it's a great question because it's, I think that comes down to skill. Everyone on this call, like, you better be reading books on the regular basis. You better be finding some really good speakers that you appreciate, like their tonality, the way they do delivery, and like get wrapped around that, because that's how I am, right? Growing up as a kid, my favorite movie was Scarface and American Gangster. I watched those movies hundreds of times, and just that whole vibe and that persona of someone walks in the room and everyone knows them. I kind of embody that within my business, right? So that's like very easy way to do it. Even people watch Suits. You go look at Harvey Specter. He says 2 lines and they're so impactful. So you need to learn how to speak and have a really good, like clear, direct delivery. Okay, so that's number one, and that's a skill thing. But number two, a concept, and I would tell everyone to write this down. It's called unsolicited value proposition. And that means when I'm talking with a lead and I'm like, oh, I don't know what I'm going to get back to them for. I do this. I go, cool. What can I, sorry. I would say, what can I do to present value to this person to make them think, oh, wow, that was super nice and unnecessary. And then now I'm creating a follow-up. So here's a very simple one. I'm like, oh man, I want to talk to this person. What the hell am I going to talk to them about? I go, here's what I'm going to do. I quickly pull all the recent sales in their area for the past 3 months. Okay. And I list them out and I do a quick stats breakdown. Say, hey, listen, the average price in the area was 1.1. It took 21 days to sell and blah, blah, blah. The homes in the past 3 months that didn't sell. Z, and then I'll give maybe my opinion. Here's why I think these ones sold. Here's why I think these ones didn't. And my advice for anyone moving forward would be to focus on these sales. And here's how it is they got that money. And then I would maybe send some like market snapshots, right? Just in general about the market. And I would send them that email. And then I'd wait the next day and I'd follow up with them. And I'd go, hey, Victor, did you get a chance to get that email I sent you? And they'd be like, either, yeah, I did, thank you. Or they'd be like, oh, no, I didn't. I'm like, oh, cool. Listen, I just sent you. And then I'm talking about value about their house, right? Talking about the value that I did for them. So I always try to go, what can I bring that unsolicited value? Or if you guys take really good calls, really your calls, or use Follow Boss that records your calls, you can go and be like, okay, some people might say something along the lines of like, oh yeah, we're deciding where we want to invest our money in this community or this community, whatever. So you can be like, hey, listen, like I know you mentioned it, maybe it wasn't like at forefront, but here's 2 different communities that you mentioned, Guelph and Kitchener, Cambridge, Waterloo, and here was what the key things that are happening in the area that are going to bring value down the road that might help you make a decision where you'd want to invest. And now you're helping consult and advise for them, and you're just presenting value. And when you follow up, you're following up with a value thing, not, hey, just wanted to follow up, or hey, I just wanted to check in, or hey, like you sound like an idiot. You want to be like, hey, did you get that email I sent you? And they're like, what? That's way better to come across because it makes it seem like you've gone out of their way. And doing someone's home evaluation or something like that is usually what it is. That gets a really simple way. But I would just find out, and everyone's a little bit different, how to bring an unsolicited value proposition to them, typically via email, and then you follow up with a call, right? Or a text, something along those lines. That make sense? Thumbs up. Everyone gets that? That makes sense? Cool. Because I'm a busy guy. And if someone came out to me one day and was like, hey, David, I know you have 9 investment properties, whatever it is. I took the time to quickly break down what we've been seeing for all your 9 investment properties. And it says all the address, average sale in the area, averages in market, like super clean and easy. I'd be like, oh shit. And if they called me and just say, hey, just wanted to follow up, make sure you got that. Like, was everything cleared? I'd be like, oh, you're my guy. I don't need anything right now, but I appreciate that you went that extra mile. That's how I am. Right? It's like that wouldn't be. So I'm just trying to do things that would impress me and I just do it to others. Right? And that's kind of the whole psychology flip. So I guess, again, a little bit of a piece of it is skill, but then the other side is just thinking a little bit different. And I encourage salespeople, rather than being machine gunners, and again, depending on your market, right? Like if you're selling $200,000 homes, certainly have a certain goal, you kind of need to hit everything. But depending on what you're trying to do, just be a sniper. Like, it's funny because we could see like the follow-up calls in our database with all of our agents and how many people make calls relative to how many appointments get booked. I win every single time. I can make like 2 phone calls because I know the 2 calls I need to make to book that appointment and I close it. You know what I'm saying? I don't need to make 100 calls anymore because I've kind of gone past that stage, but you only get there by going there. You know what I'm saying? I did all the 250 doors knocked on every single day the first year of my career. I did all the phone, like I did everything that I've developed the skill, and now I can just strategically make a quick call. Give me 1 sec. Anyone have any insight on that or want to share what the thoughts are around that?
I'll make a quick comment here. I know that being in the trenches, this is a little bit of the boring work, right? The repetitive stuff. Whenever we have to, I'll lay out this example, right? We have 100, 200 leads in the database. And hey, we touched base with some of these people maybe a month ago, 2 months ago, whatever the timeline actually was, right? And we let these people kind of cool down. It is kind of tough for a lot of us to wrap our head around, hey man, I need to go back in there. I need to start touching everyone. Because for most of us, it's kind of the boring stuff, right? Which is let me call these people. I don't know what happened. I forgot about this person. I need to follow up. And I have tons of these unresponsive leads. And what you're seeing right here, David, is basically once you go through these trenches of making $100 a day, $150 a day, whatever the number is, right? And you're calling these people day in, day out, you get a better understanding of exactly who you want to focus on, what that last touch point was, and what that future one is, right?
100%. It just comes down to like almost like a foresight, right? Like if you look at any good athlete, they get on their court, they get on their field, they have like an analogy, like reading the court, reading the field, reading the players. That comes from amount of time of like, okay, I understand that there's more than just the physical thing we're about to do. There is kind of like a macro perspective of what's happening. And I just think a lot of us get into real estate and there's no real heightened sense of like how we sharpen our skills and how we develop it. And the easiest way to do it is just it's a numbers game. Go knock literally on 5,000 doors. You know what's going to happen if you knock on 5,000 doors? You're going to make $1 million in 2 years. But nobody goes and knocks on the 5,000 doors. And people go, well, it's because I don't know what script to say or when I can start. It's like, well, along the way, you start to learn. And that is like the school of hard knocks, right? So when I got in the business, that's exactly what I did. I was like, I'm broke. I'm 19, have no money. I'm like, here's what I'm going to do. My mentor's like, dude, go knock on literally 250 doors every day. Said the same thing. I made $275,000 my first year in the business. When I was 19, so it was August 2017, I got in. My first year after, that's exactly what happened. And the reason I'm sharing that is I had no idea. I had no business card. I had no website. I had no scripts. All I had was a drive and a willingness to go learn. That's it. And these school of calls are no different. They come in and I'm trying to see what works. I don't have like a perfect this is this. And just along the way, I'm just trying to help and connect with people, right? Sometimes I take these calls and people suck, they're rude or whatever it is. All good, not my people, move on. But when I do connect with that one person where the message is there, it's done. It's like butter. They're super. I have a listing on the market right now for 2.2 million that the school of leads brought in for me. Like, and if we do the math on my commissions, I took it at full commission. That's a $60,000 payday. And if you look at how many calls and leads they've distributed to me, it's not a alarming, a crazy amount. It's just I finally found that person that we connected well with. And it was effortless. They just kind of came into my repertoire of like, this is how business gets done. So, but again, if I didn't do it as often or I didn't have as many people to have conversations with, A, I wouldn't have the skill, and B, I wouldn't have the opportunity, right? So it's really just a number game, guys. That's what it comes down to, and just keep pushing that forward, right? So, but any other thoughts, any other questions from anybody here?
And we just had a couple of people join. We have Tim that just joined. And hey, Tim, just to catch you up to speed, sharing any sort of scenarios, any sort of thoughts, situations, conversations, touch points, anything you might want to bring up as well. Sheldon, I know that you were here earlier, but I think you came in just a little bit later too. But anything you guys want to bring up? David has great insight, and we get to see him once a month, maybe once every couple of months. He's been on here a couple of times.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing, guys. I've given presentations like dozen times. But whenever I have like something like this, like less than 30 people, less than 20 people, I try to make it interactive so I can actually give you something of value that you can go use today. Whereas when I give these, presentations to 1,000 people or 1,500 people, it's like a generic, mindset concept or something that we're trying to do. But I feel like it's a vague thing. So I'm doing my best just to, give you guys 1v1. So if you have any questions or any thoughts, like I would love if you took my time that I've already kind of allotted to this, and just shoot from the hip, ask me some stuff, and I'll give you my 2 cents on it. Not to mention that people have asked me if they could pay me thousands of dollars a month to take an hour of my time a week for coaching, and I've turned it down. But this is free, guys. I would use this up.
What market are you in, David?
I'm in GTA, but primarily Halton.
Okay, Toronto. Cool.
What about you, man? Where are you at?
I'm in Vancouver.
Cool, man.
The other crazy market. Well, it's not so crazy right now, is it?
Yeah, what you got, man? You got crazy price points. That's what I love. Crazy price points are fun, man.
Yeah, it's good. Just want to think of a question. My leads have been few and far between. Unfortunately, maybe just focusing on Vancouver. It's been, I don't know, maybe there's other people focusing on Vancouver. Find that some of the numbers are bad. Again, I'm not getting, I've had 3 leads and the houses are listed already. Some of them have just been listed, or some have been listed for a while, and they're just like, I'm going to guess they're either unhappy or they're like, whoa, why is it selling? Maybe the price isn't right. Let's get someone else's value. How do you kind of roll from that to get in that business?
Well, we're a service-based industry, right? So if you had your home on the market for a certain period of time, and whether the right price, hey, I've taken listings that the price isn't right, people still love me. I gave a really good, like, unparalleled service that they recognize that me and my business operates a little bit different from the market, right? You can't get mad at me about the market being bad. I literally do not make the market. I only interpret it at your benefit and try to give you the insight so we can operate in it, but I don't make it, right? So when you call someone, they're like, no, my agent does suck. You're like, oh, cool. Well, they're not happy with the service. You can come in and fill that void. You can't be like, oh, it should have sold for that price. It's like, well, then maybe it should have already, right? Maybe it wasn't marketed well. Maybe the presentation wasn't well. Maybe the communication was poor, but you got to kind of go in and see how it is that you can deliver a better level of service than what they've already seen, right? And the best way for me in the beginning, when you don't really have a ton of stuff to say, hey, here's what I did with this home. Here's what I did with this client. Like, if you look up online, we nearly have 100 5-star Google reviews. Like, people don't really ask me like, hey, David, can you do this? Right? That's not the question I get, right? But in the beginning, when I didn't have that stuff, I like to be belly to belly into people's hands and have the opportunity to connect with them and then be like, yeah, I see this guy. He's got some good drive, some good tenacity. Like, I think he's willing to do what it takes. And if nothing else, I know he's going to work his ass off. So I can't be mad at him for the results. And that's kind of the barrier that you always want to get to, because we're in a brutal market. Like, I can't force sell, I can't force a buyer to buy, but I can force unparalleled service on a customer. That they're like, man, I don't even think I'm going to get better than this. I want them thinking, if you couldn't do it, there's no way anybody else could. So when you're going into those calls or trying to connect with those people, that's the mindset that you want to have and make sure that you can help articulate that, because that's way more important than, hey, we could get you an exact number, right? So that would be my 2 cents, at least, when I used to kind of come in with those calls.
Hey, David.
Yep.
Hey, man, it's Tim here from I'm on the Northern Virginia market. But quick question for you with some school leads. You know, I think some of them have an expectation that they're going to get an immediate home evaluation. You know, like a Zestimate or whatever. And then I think when they find out they're going to be getting a phone call, you know, they actively ignore it. Even when I do like a back trace of the phone number, I see that it's their primary mobile phone number, so I know they're getting the call. How do you go about maybe providing value, or do you just discard the lead completely? But how do you go about adding value, maybe on a text or an email, to trigger them to accept the phone call next time? Or if one does pick up and then just decides, hey, I'm not interested anymore, do you have like a one-liner to try and pique interest, or do you just completely discard the lead? Because sometimes, you know, they give you that initial objection and they just say, I'm not interested anymore. How do you really go about overcoming that objection and seeing what the motivation was for them to even sign up in the first place? Because obviously going through the sign-in form was a tedious process in and of itself, so they have some motivation to get an answer. But when you get on the phone with them, they kind of give you that, hey, I'm not interested anymore, thank you, and then they hang up. Do you just leave them alone, or do you do something to pique interest?
Yeah, man, you actually asked like 5 different awesome questions, and they all have different things, but the answer is, I'm going to break it down. So number one, people have been like, hey, I just wanted a number. And I'm like, oh, you wanted some like just amateur generic Zestimate or some crappy thing? Like, sorry, you're talking with a professional in the area. And the reason why you're on the phone with me is because we're paying a company to get inquiries such as yourself, so we can give them a professional level of service. So if you just want a random number, like really amateurish with your largest asset, then yeah, we're not the right fit for you. But hey, if you want to take 15 minutes of your time, help me get all the information I need, I'd love to put together a really good evaluation for your home. Period. I've been through homes and they're like, oh, the last guy just came here and said a number. I'm like, oh, so you guys are hiring an amateur, or you're looking for a professional? Just a little bit of a disconnect here. And I'll say that to people because I'm a freaking professional. And that's why I get paid professional dollars, and my listing repertoire is unbelievable. I don't do stuff like that. Every home is different. I like to take some time to think about it. And when I imagine going to the doctor's office and they're like, oh, you got to fill this form. It's like, no, screw it. I just want to see the doctor right away. The doctor would be like, get the hell out of here, man. Go back, follow our process, or get out. So just helping people understand that our profession is no different than that one. So that's one big thing I always do right away. The second thing is, you kind of highlighted, if someone took the time, I'd be like, hey, listen, Mr. Seller. I'd say, hey, listen, Mr. Seller, just out of curiosity, I called you, took the time out of my day, only because you took the time out of your day to do an intake form so that I can actually get it to help you. And now you're telling me you don't want any help? What changed since you decided to put forth that initial effort? Right. And then they'd be like, well, I just wanted a number again, or whatever it is. And then say, okay, great. Well, listen, and you always reaffirm it. Awesome. Well, here's what I'm going to do for you. I want to get you that number. All I need is 3 quick things. And then you just go off anyways, unless they straight up hang up the phone in your face. But it's pretty easy to overcome those objections when you're able to help them understand, like, hey, I'm not working against you. This isn't some generic, but they're used to crap in the marketplace. That's what they're used to. So you need to show them that you're not crap in the marketplace, that you're actually there to help them fulfill what it is they initially tried to do. That's all. And it comes from a very sincere place of like, I took the time from my day to sit in front of my computer, return your inquiry call so I can give you what it is you initially wanted. And I'm excited to deliver that for you. All I need is this. And that's it. And if you operated like that, the right people are going to be like magnets on metal. They're just going to ping, ping, ping. And I know because like that's my whole career. And people are like, David, everything just kind of like works for you. And I'm like, no, man, I just do the right things, man. And I do unto others what I want done unto myself. That's how I don't like salespeople either, guys. I went into a dealership to get my new car. I literally couldn't stand the guy that I was dealing with. I left the dealership to go to another Mercedes to get the same damn car. I just didn't like the guy. Wasn't listening to me. I threw the income form to realize how much money I made. He was like, "Oh, you should look at the C63 SLS AMG." I'm like, "Bro, fuck you. I don't want that car." I said I want right, but he didn't care about me. I was like, "Yo," and I was like, "You know what? It's all good. I need some more time to think on it." And then I left, went to another dealership, got the exact same car. So I think if you just go about it in those two mannerisms, I think you'll do. And yeah, listen, you're going to connect with some people that just suck. That's okay, but I think those 2 points are there. I think that should be enough. Do you have anything else you wanted to add that maybe I can touch a little bit more clarity on?
No, that's great, man. I guess initial question I also had with people that don't pick up. I know it's their phone number, or they don't pick up because they expect it as estimate. Do you just kind of like, hey, screw it, you're not a serious?
I sent an email. So for instance, people give me fake numbers, and then I would send the email as their property address, and I'd put ... fake number classic, and then I would draft the email. And listen, whenever you're sending an email about someone's property, guys, does anybody here get like a lot of emails? Like I get a lot of emails, and I kid you not, I never check them unless it says offer for one of my listings, or so. I don't check my emails. I literally hate them. But if someone sent me an email with the subject line is my property address, I'd click that shit right away. Right away. So what I do when I'm messaging a lead about their home, I put their property address, dash, and then something. Right? So that's me personally, right? So fake number, whatever. So I would send that email and say, listen, I noticed you took the time to fill out our inquiries. I would really love to get you your updated valuation. I prepared most of it. I just need 2 quick questions. Would it be best to jump on a call? It's text better, or is responding to an email so I can just have the right information provided to you? Because here's the other thing. My mom's a doctor. If you try to call her, you will never get her, ever. She fucking emails me and I don't even respond to them. You have to email this woman or she will not get back to you. You have to. That's just how she operates. So what I've learned and what my team has learned, all my administrators, is whenever we're dealing with someone, the first question we ask is, hey, to ensure we have the best level of communication with you throughout this transaction, what's the best way to communicate with you? Period. So some of those leads, guys, they might just not like phone calls. Period. That's not the best way to get through to them. Maybe a text or an email is best. So I would do something like that before I make these assumptions that they're just, avoiding us or we're bothersome or whatever it is, right? I want to get some clarity around that stuff. So I think I'd send that email and I'd say, hey, listen, I've already prepared or hey, I'm on your evaluation report. And then I'd say, blah, blah, blah. If I get 2 quick things from you, is a call, text, or email best to get the right information? And I would do that. And then at the bottom of that email, guys, you have link to Google reviews, drop that there so people can see that you're real. Social proof, right? If you have an active listing that's on the market right now and you've done an awesome job marketing it, drop it in your email signature, say, check out our newest listing. Do something so you can show them some level of social proof, which works super great for us as well. But that'd be my 2 cents.
Sweet. Thank you, man.
Yeah, no worries.
I got a question. I got to run right away here. Go to something. What you said, awesome. We're not crap. Take time out of my day. And I just need to ask you 3 things. What are the 3 most burning questions that you're asking these leads?
Yeah. Here's a good one. Here's a good use. I go, hey, John, just to make sure I give you the right type of evaluation, there's actually a couple different evaluations that people request. Number 1 is they're doing estate planning. So they just want a letter of opinion of value to provide to the lawyer. Number 2, they have some sort of finances coming up in the near future, maybe a mortgage renewal, maybe a separation or something like that. And they just need to get an updated valuation of the home. Or number 3, they're planning to sell in the next 3 to 6 months and they want to know what their home is worth in the current market. Which one do you fall into? And people are like, oh yeah, you know what? And again, I've literally had people be like, oh, we're doing estate planning. And I'm like, sick, I'm not coming to your damn house. There's no need to shake your hand. And then I'll go, awesome, here's what I need from you. And I'll just say, how big is your home? How many bedrooms, bathrooms? Has it recently been sold? Like I can put a home evaluation together in literally 5 minutes. And I have a sick template. I go in, here's the number, whatever. And I email it to them, email signature. And I always leave like an open end, like, If you ever need anything in the future, here's my personal line. Do never hesitate to reach out and contact me direct. And that's it. Then they
What
go
was the
into-
second?
Sorry, what?
You said estate planning, selling in 3 to 6 months. What was the second one?
No, so here's the rule of three, guys. The rule of three is the last one that you say, that's the real one that you want them to say.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't want them to tell me it's estate planning, so I put that shit first. The second one is they have some sort of financing coming up, right? Like
Yeah.
mortgage pre-approval, they're going through a separation, they need something with their finances. And then number three is because they're planning to sell in the next 3 to 6 months. And my hope is they go, oh yeah, I'm actually planning to sell in 3 to 6 months. Because they've heard the first one, they're like, no, that's not me. They hear the second one, they're like, no, that's not me either. Or a third one, oh yeah, that one's me. That one's me sick. And then I I don't like the method thing and what my team hates, guys, to be honest with you. They hear my calls and it's not that they're not like scripted, they're not regimented. I'm excited at people because I know I can help them because I've done it so many times that just comes through practice. And sometimes my calls are different, right? And they're like, David, there's no like set thing with you, right? And I'm like, yeah, but that just comes through like time of repetition. Like, and I know Emmanuel said it's boring. I'll never forget, I saw John Maxwell live. I don't know if you guys know John Maxwell. He was a preacher in the beginning of his career, and now he's like arguably, I don't know, I'd say one of the best motivational speakers, if you want to call it. He said something so profound. He said, success is boring, and I've been bored for decades. And I was like, sick. Done. And then I see all this selling sunset stuff, like real estate sexy, glamorous. And I'm like, oh, that's not how it yet. I have all the glitz and the glamour. I got the Rolexes, I got the Mercedes, I got the big house, whatever. But like even my kids know, my kids today were like, Dad, can I come to the office with you? Because I got a putting green here and my office is sick. And I'm like, guys, it ain't like that. That he's got to, it's like, it's not like even my kids are fooled thinking like it ain't like that. You know what I'm saying? My wife knows. My wife, she has to be married to me. And she sees all the calls and all that stuff, right? So, but yeah, so that's maybe like 3 things I say in a call pretty consistently. I hit those bullet points, and then I just go in and like again, here's another thing when it comes to leads, guys. You need to understand and disassociate how you feel about things. If someone tells you go to hell, if someone tells you you're scum of the earth, or so whatever it is, it's like. Not like even anyone here on the call, like not in a disrespectful way, none of you guys can say anything here that would hurt my feelings because I'm not really too concerned to have your opinion of me sway how I feel about me. If my wife told me some stuff about me, it'd be different, right? So I'm really clear on who it is that I allow kind of move around my like emotional thermostat, if you will. But when it comes to leads and talking to people, I'm just a nice, charismatic guy. They're not about it. It's all good. Don't take any offense when I move on. But the key thing is, for me, it's no different than fishing. It's not like you fish 2 times, you don't get a bite, and you're like, oh, this fishing rod is shit. This lake sucks. Today's the worst day ever. Essentially, what you're doing is saying, I'm okay with my continued pursuit, and I actually enjoy it, right? And the other thing is when you're doing leads, this is the goal. You're quickly defining, are they going to be a part of your future or a part of your past? However, here's the cool thing. Both, you have to have the same emotional bandwidth for. I'm good with either or, like actually good with either or. And that's how I can sit at a table with a client and have them go, well, David, you got to do it for less. And in my head, I'm like, oh, I didn't come in here thinking like I need this listing or I didn't have a good day. Like I'm good to not have this listing. It's all good. And when I come across with that, they're like, shit, I need this guy. Right? Because they understand that's how I'm going to go negotiate their sale when someone brings me a crappy offer. I'm like, oh, I don't need your offer. I'm down to keep working and I'll find them another buyer if your buyers are the right ones. And people appreciate that, right? So I think having that like, you're going to say qual, especially with leads, is super helpful. They keep hitting those numbers and just keep going through it. And the people who are good to be a part of your future, be excited about that. People part about your past, be excited about that too. It's all good. Clarity is power. I just want to know where we're going so I can move on. What I hate, and I would see from agents' database, is they would have like this long list. And I'd be like, oh, what did these people? It's like, oh, I don't know, I don't know. And I'm like, what the hell is wrong with you? Call them right now and just go, hey, John, I just had someone ask me who this contact is in my database. And I actually had a really hard time explaining to them who you are to me. And the best thing is if they answer and they go, who is this? That's the freaking best because they kind of already answered their own question. And you just go, here's the thing, man. Let me remind you, top real estate agent in the area, would love to earn your business at some point. Do you think that would ever happen? And do you think there's a need for us to stay in communication? No, I'm good. I never want to talk to you. Awesome. Hey, I hope you have a great day. And then off the phone and then gone. So the reason I do that is every single person in my database, if I call them or text them, they know exactly who I am. They know exactly who it is. And they're stoked to have a conversation with me. Even brand new leads. because I take care of them like they're my already past existing clients, right? So I would just encourage you guys, when you're going on that like clarity, like I need to know if they're part of my future, part of my past, it helps you pick up that phone one more time because you got to get clarity around that, or it helps you stay on the phone a little bit longer, even if you catch them at work and it's a bad time. You're like, I got to get this answer. I got to know if they're part of my future, part of my past. And that's what I did early on in my career, my lead generation efforts. And it was super helpful because I get people and they're like, you know what? You're a super nice guy, but my brother-in-law is a realtor. I'm like, oh, sick, part of my past. I'm like, hey, God bless, have a great day. And I'm off to the next one. I'm just excited to get the answer. That's all I want. I don't want this like, and even whenever I'm in the office, and this happened yesterday, one of my agents got a call from someone from Yellow Pages trying to sell him something. And Jake was like, and not Jake Nicole, I have another guy who works for me named Jake. Jake was like, essentially said, hey, you know what, man? Not right now, but maybe later. And the sales guy was like, okay, I'll follow up with you. And I yelled and I said, don't lead him on like that. That's not nice. So I came over and I grabbed the phone and I said, hey, listen, the gentleman's name. I said, you sound like a super nice guy. Jake has had you on speaker. I promise you will never be using your services. You seem like an awesome sales guy. Just keep the pursuit with people worthwhile. You will never close a deal with us. And you know what he said? Thank you. Have a great day. And I bet he got off that call thinking, shit, I wish more people would do that, because then his stupid follow-up list, like we're locked in with all of our outsourced marketing. I'm not ever bringing that on. So the sales guy appreciated the level of transparency, right? So for us, it should be the exact same way. And I know I went on like a little bit of a tangent there, but I'm just trying to help you guys drill in like the mindset. Making 10 calls a day, making 50, like that ain't it. Like you got to be pushing more, and you just got to find the right people to be a part of your future. And here's the messed up thing. You'll make 100 calls in a week and realize I only got 3 people a part of my future. Damn. Right? But if you didn't do that, you'd be like, oh, I made 100 contacts this week. I spoke to 100 people. And I'm like, great, who's a part of your future? It's just what I tell my team. Who's a part of the future? Who are we doing deals with? Even if they say, hey, listen, not right now, but like in a couple of years, you're our guy. It's like, I'm good with that. Like, it's all good. But if you're like, oh, I don't know where we stand, or I don't know, it's like, go figure that out. And I want to know who's part of the future. That's it. Everyone a part of the past, let them be part of the past. We don't speak on the dead. We just let it be. You know what I'm saying? So that would be my encouragement to you guys, because it makes it a lot more of a real game versus this like fictitious, like, oh yeah, I made my contacts today, or I did this stuff. It's like, I'm more of a quality over quantity kind of guy. And it's worked out exponentially well for me in all areas of my life. All areas of my life. Anyone else have any other things, anything pressing they want to ask me?
Let's go. This is a great time. We have David Rubio, who's given us his insights on how to go about with these leads. So you guys are open to ask any questions and engage with them. I mean, even as I would say, in your perspective, as dumb as it may sound, it's not. It's still a confusion, it's still a doubt. So why not externally? Why not share it?
I'm driving now, but I got a question.
That's hilarious. I've seen 3 different backgrounds so far, 3 different backgrounds.
I know I have to go to therapy, not for real estate, but it'd probably be good to talk about that too. Just, I'm a super chill guy in all life, and I've never yelled at my clients or anything, but my kid, who's 3 and a bit, is just, I don't know, bringing the worst out in me. Therapy, and it's working. Anyways, maybe it'll make me a better realtor. I wondered if you could just do maybe a quick introduction of when you talk to an online lead. I work with a lot of buyer leads, and I'm really good at handling buyer objections, especially like, oh, we're just looking, we're just started. And, oh, great, what are you looking for? Or what's the long-term goal? I haven't really worked with many sellers unless they're kind of falling in my lap, and I haven't had to do too much work to get listings. I'm just super chill. But when I've got somebody on the phone that I've never talked to, and they just want this magical number, like some of the other guys have said, I don't know, can you give me an introduction of pretending I'm the lead that doesn't want the call, or whoa, I was just expecting a random number. Again, you've kind of gone through some of those.
Yeah.
It was just one of 3 items, or I'm writing all this down. I wrote it all down, and
I think the key thing to note is it's more of a framework, not a script, right? So we're answering the call. I'm just trying to understand what it is they're trying to do and how it is that I'm going to provide that level of value, for lack of better terms. But if they've already self-qualified because they've done the intake form, they said one update evaluation, I'm just showing them this is how I'm going to deliver it to them. That's really it. And the way I deliver stuff, guys, and listen, you guys could do your own business how you want, but the way I go through is I do 1 of 2 things. Home's either sold within the past 24 months and you've done no updates to the property at all, and it's been sold publicly, so I can go back, look on the MLS, or if it's anything greater than you've done work, I need to come through the home personally. 15 minutes to take a look at what I'm working with to give you an evaluation because I'm a professional. That's it. So if they're down for professional service, I'm their guy. If they want a Zestimate or they want some like Mickey Mouse thing or they're not too serious, I'll chat with them and just see why they're not so serious about their largest asset and why it's important to them to get a half-ass answer about their home's value. Like I don't get that. Like it's almost like it's like a fascination. Seems kind of stupid to me. So I'm just curious. Like, and then the other thing too, I just remind people like in a very sincere way, and like, and I'll do some of my calls and say, I just want to let you know, you're not talking like some random agent. And everyone needs to find their value proposition. My value proposition is I've sold over $350 million worth of real estate in less than 8 years, and I still love what I do. That's my value proposition. I'm gonna wake up one day and be like, I don't want to do this anymore, guys. See you later. You know what I'm saying? But I'm still here right now, and I'm excited to meet people, and that's my value prop for people. So I'm like, I just don't understand why you wouldn't want to talk to me. Like it literally makes no like the statistical probability that you speak to another person that is better than me or more qualified than me is like less than 0.1%. Makes no sense to me. So why do you not want to talk to me? You want to talk to like it doesn't make any sense. So for you guys, you just need to find your value proposition to see why it is that they would or wouldn't want to talk with you, right? So I think that's a big thing. And I think there's no magical thing. You come from a level of sincerity, you do unprecedented and unsolicited value proposition approaches, you connect with people in an authentic way, and you just have that vibe and that mindset, it will work. I don't really know how else to put it. A lot of agents on my team, they recognize that now, like it actually just works, and they realize that I'm not lucky. There's just like a vibe and a flow about things. That's really it. But if you guys think you're just gonna make, you know, if Muscula, God willingly, gives you 10 leads a month, which is freaking remarkable, right? Because there's usually pretty damn good quality leads. So you get those 10 leads a month and you're only making those 10 calls, those 10 people, and only calling them once, you should at least call them 10 times minimum before you be like, oh, they're not a good lead or something, right? And you know what the crazy thing is too? We have their addresses.
Yeah.
You have the phone with someone and you don't have anything else to do and you're not selling 100 houses a year. You get a pen and a sick card and you say, thanks so much for taking the time to chat with me. It was a pleasure connecting with you. Look forward to staying connected for all your real estate needs. Here's a gift card to Starbucks Tim Hortons. Tomorrow's coffee or tea's on me. P.S. Please call me to get this so I know that you got it. Send that out. Nothing. I'm getting our seller booklets, dropping in a black envelope, sending it to their house. I'm just going to keep doing stuff. Like all these ideas are great, but it's the low level of execution I see for people and like this complacency of like, oh, the lead's not good. It's like, well, are they a part of your future or your past? I don't know. Okay, well, you didn't do good. Okay, they're part of our future. Great. What did you do to set, like, imagine pouring concrete and then it rains for a week straight and never had a chance to settle. Who cares? It's like you do all the hard work pouring the concrete. You need to make sure the weather conditions are good so that thing gets rock solid. So if I have a really great connection with someone, it's like pouring concrete, and I need to make sure I solidify and cement that. So what am I going to do? A thank you card, some really nice value proposition thing. Maybe I sell a home in their area, and I was like, hey, we just sold in your neighbors a couple doors down. I remember we had this conversation. I just figured I'd pop by and shake your hand and introduce myself personally. And, you know, amount of time, like guys, I did all this stuff and it all works. Did not one work better than the other. It's what you're willing to do and commit to in those moments. But I find that the lack of commitment for a lot of people is it's just very low. And I'm just being real with everybody, right? I see it all the time. But I think if you come from that approach of like, we're just gonna go super deep, get clarity, a part of my future, a part of my past, make sure to solidify that relationship and transition from being a consultant, from a salesperson to a consultant and generally trying to help people, your business just starts swaying a little bit different. Dropping off cookies on the front porch. Who said this? Dropping off cookies on the front porch. Sick. There you go. My eyes are so bad, guys. I have really bad eyes, so I can't read the rest of it, but that's what I read and then everything.
That's me.
Okay, sick. So look, dropping off cookies on the front porch, right? Or like literally the amount of times that I've been like, oh, this person lives right around the corner. I'm like, sure, I'm just gonna knock on the door. I have nothing. And I'm like, hey, we actually connected on a call a little whiles back. Like, don't worry, I'm not a Jehovah's Witness. Like, I know you don't know who I am. We actually spoke before. I just wanted to, you know, break the ice and allow you guys to know who it is that's been calling you and stuff like that. I was just seeing one of your other neighbors to give them an updated evaluation. Just wanted to say hi. It was a pleasure meeting you. The amount of times people are like, oh, come on in, or can I get you a drink? Like it just opened and then you're in. Like that is like I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. And the other thing too is this is what I would say to people. Hey, John, when I'm done with your evaluation report, would you rather email it over to you or do you want a hard copy delivered to your door? The amount of times people are like, oh, I'd take a hard copy. It's like, awesome, great. And I'm dropping off a hard copy, right? Especially if they're very, I don't want to say very old, but if you hear that they're a little bit more elderly, it's a better touch to go there and give them a hard evaluation report, right? Or just general sales in their area and stuff like that. And if you're good enough, you can do just general sales in the area. If they have something kind of generic, drop it off and then talk to them a little bit. Well, hey, average sales have been this, averages in market has been this. Based on that, what do you think? oh, I think it's worth 1.2. It's like, yeah, you're actually kind of right in the money. I'd say maybe 1.2, maybe 1.215. Maybe we can get a little bit more depending on the market conditions. But yeah, like, and then, spend some time and then you get the hell out of there. Right. So these little things, guys, like when you go deep with people and you're really trying to figure out like, hey, are they going to be part of my future, part of my past? Your business, it's funny because everything has to elevate. You can't make 10 calls anymore. You have to make 100 because you're realizing, man, those 10 calls I made, none of those people are part of my future at all. It's like, shoot. Okay, well, last year, it's what I was averaging like 10 calls a week or like whatever it is. It's like, yeah, but look at your income. And now we're just going to scale everything up to make sure we're talking with that quality person to convert them, right? And that's the other thing I see a lot in our industry is people don't have a good time converting people. That is like where I live. That is literally where I live, is just a conversion. How is it that I convert them to be my clients or convert them to think David's my guy when the time should come? That's where I live. And that's why I have all these little thoughts. But again, if you think about like, what would I need to do to someone to impress them? Don't worry about that. Ask yourself, because that's where it starts. What would someone need to do to me to impress me? And then do that. That's a way better perspective, is when you look in first and go, what would, like, I already know because I've been impressed by a lot of people. And I'm like, I'm just going to do that. And then if you have no ideas or you're not creative, go watch some cool movies.
I got one more question. I know we're almost out of time here. I used to send lots of cards and all this stuff when I started, and I really haven't done that in a while, but man, got to go back to the basics because that's where I got my first listings and stuff. Now I've got lots of sellers to talk to. So I think what I'm struggling with is my presentation maybe isn't great. What are some of the must-haves? Like, I don't know. What do you have some template that you specifically use every time?
Yeah, 100%.
How did you make it? Did you use Canva or did you use Cloud CMA or what's the go-to? What are people using today?
Yeah, I
How do
think
I make my stuff look awesome?
I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I think the wrong answer is not having something, not having a premeditated conversation going into.
Yeah.
You have a sick listing presentation. Like, it's unbelievable because, again, if I'm sitting in that chair, how do I want someone to pitch me that and go, wow, it's very impressive, right? But it's not about the visuals. It's about the way I talk, right? So it's a big thing.
Yeah, for sure.
And here's the three things. Number one, when you're sitting down with a seller, let them know what the hell your plans are. So, hey, Mr. Seller, my job as your agent is three things as far as I'm concerned. Number one is to sell your home for the most amount of money in the correct period of time. It's not shortest amount of time, it's correct period, because if you're doing a luxury listing, there's no short, especially in this market. So my goal is to sell your home for the most amount of money in the correct period of time and help educate you in understanding what your home is worth and what the correct period of time is. Number two is I need to showcase your house in its best light and get it channeled through some of the best marketing efforts that we have. And the last thing is to make sure that this process for you is as stress-free as possible. Those are my goals in working with you. Now, how is that we're actually going to list your home? Well, that's another three things. Number one, today we're going to talk about the preparation. What am myself and my team, or what am I going to do to help you prepare your home to transition it from your home to a commodity that's now going to an open market? Okay. Number two, what we're going to talk about today is our marketing. How is it that I'm going to get your home in front of the most amount of qualified buyers possible? The reason I do that punctuation like that is I jokingly go like, listen, like my mom, she loves me and like, she's on Facebook. If my mom's seeing your Facebook listing about your home selling, it doesn't matter. She's not buying it. How do I get your home in front of the most amount of qualified buyers? And I walk them through what my process is. You guys might have one. I have one. Super simple. And I say the last thing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that we need to talk through, and it's arguably the most important thing that we're going to cover today, is pricing. And pricing is broken down into three conversations. Number one, where are we at in our current market today? Number two, what is your home worth based upon actuality and recent sales data? And number three, based upon those two things, where we're at in the market and what we think your home is worth, how do we price your home? And we'll talk about all that. And then I get into my whole listing presentation. But those are the frameworks of like, here's my goal as being one of the best real estate agents you're ever going to sit across from, and letting you understand what my goal is for you. And that's also how I have an 80% repeat and referral business, is because I'm so focused on delivering an unreal sell your home fast, in the right time, stress-free, and actually make your house look sick, okay? And then the other side of it is I actually walk them through very diligently. Here's what I'm doing, here's what my team's doing on the back end, and here's all the things you can expect along the way. And then obviously, here's my understanding of the market knowledge, and here's how I'm going to deliver that for you. So that's pretty much my listing presentation. Like, I swear on my life, that is it. The only difference is the visuals attached to it and things like that. But that is the 80-20 principle. That right there was the 20. The 80 is the visuals. The 80 is I don't know, the 80 would be like understanding that when you're delivering content to somebody, facts tell, like, hey, our listings sell, 30% faster than days on market, and stories sell. Hey, what would it look like to have your home sell quicker than everyone else in the area and have people come knock on your door and ask you guys how you did that? That's an emotion. People are like, oh, I'm thinking about that now, right? So understanding that if you're just telling people facts, that shit is boring. But if you could bring them along an emotional roller coaster of storytelling, right, then you can actually deliver really unparalleled precedent. And that's what I do so well, especially when I'm highlighting value propositions. I don't say, hey, I'm going to sell your home fast and hey, here's how good our marketing is. I say, hey, listen, here's how our competitors market their homes. What are your thoughts on that? Here's how it is that we market our homes. What are your thoughts on that? If you were a buyer, which one would be more enticing to you? And they're like that. So like they're selling themselves. I'm not saying I'm better than them. Like they're identifying. But if I go, hey, our listings show better than our competitors, that's just a fact. It's like, okay, cool. But demonstrating to them the value that I'm trying to help them understand is really impactful, right? So that listing presentation, I mean, again, it's super awesome. But I would also encourage you guys, like, if you don't have a good listing presentation, that's why you don't have any damn listings. And that's why you don't have any listing opportunities, because you're not excited. Listen, if someone called me right now and said, hey, I'm ready to list my $2.5 million house, I'm out of here, guys. I'm closing this computer, I'm going, and I'm crushing it and getting it signed guaranteed. How many of you would be like, oh shit, oh my gosh, what do I do? It's like, don't do that. Operate like you're in practice time. Actually, I heard this thing today with who's Tony Robbins was talking about Steph Curry, and it pretty much talks about how he shoots 500 shots a day, every single day. He's been in the NBA 15 years and talks about how he's done 2.3 million basketball shots. 2.3 million. In the NBA, he holds the leading scoring for 3 points, and he's only at 3,600. So he said, this guy had to go shoot 2.3 million shots. It's in actual game time, only at 3,600, and he's still the best. So if you look at the levels there, it's psychotic. But we don't prepare that much, and we're not as confident as much. I only get to give my listing presentation, maybe 100 times a year, right? If I'm lucky. But at the beginning, I was doing it 10 times a day. I wanted it to roll off the tongue. I wanted it to be sharp. I wanted it to be precise. I wanted it to be like butter. So people are like, no one asked me in the beginning how many homes I sold, and I sold 0. And I said, the reason they're never going to ask me is I'm going to come so freaking prepared that they're going to have no idea to even stop to think about that, because obviously I've done it so many times before. I also was over concerned because I was 19 years old. Who the hell is going to hire a 19-year-old kid? And I said, even better, I'm going to look better than everybody. I'm going to be in the sharpest suit possible. I'm going to have the best freaking haircut, and I'm going to show up sharp. No one's going to ask me how old I was. And then all of a sudden, year one goes by, I sell 26 homes, make 275 grand. No one's asked me how old I am or how many homes I've sold. And I'm like, this is so sick. I just fooled everybody. Now I'm 20, and I'm like, this is awesome. And my career, that's when I realized the preparation is all the legwork for all these things. And I know now we're kind of spinning off into a little bit of a different tangent, but coming back to like the listing presentation, it's all those things kind of embodied to being interviewed. And you should be excited to be interviewed. And even if you feel a little bit uncomfortable, work through that uncomfort to be excited. Okay. And the easiest way that I do that personally is I take a cold shower every single morning. And that might sound so stupid, but I've done it for nearly 2 years straight. And it's the reminder that it's not about how I feel that's going to dictate my actions. I'm going to do what needs to be done. And I go through that uncomfort every morning. My wife thinks I'm an absolute psychopath to have a cold shower every morning, and it's not comfortable, and it sucks just as much as it's done over the past 2 years. But it reminds me that I'm okay with being uncomfortable, and I'm looking forward to finding and operating in that sense of uncomfort. And then the byproduct of all these little like life hacks are I've been a 7-figure income earner for the past 5 years, and I'm 28. That is psychotic. Like there's not a lot of connections between those two things. And I'm like, but I put in the work. I've done all the leg stuff behind the scenes, and I'm so driven to make it happen. And I'm sure a lot of you on this call, if you needed to hire a realtor and you didn't have one, you'd call me, because I'd show up, I'd do my thing. I'm going to sound sharp, and I would just encourage you guys to do the exact same thing. It really isn't that hard. It's just showing up, understanding what it is you're going to do for people, and along the way, just be open to change and just try to become better all in all, right? So I don't know if there's any other questions or any other thoughts. I know we went a little bit over our time now, but I hope a ton of you guys got some really good impact on this call. And for all of you that didn't chat or speak up, I hope you guys got some really good impact. And yeah, just encourage you guys that things like this, once they happen, don't just be like, oh, cool, I got my like a notepad and I got my stuff. Like, go implement, go execute, right? That is the most important thing, is to go put this stuff into practice. Take this like, oh, this is awesome, and then go do it. And in 3 days, it's going to suck. And more than half of you are going to stop doing it. And then you wait till next month to call, and it's going to pick up again. But but don't go on that roller coaster. Just find out what your consistency can be. I know what mine is, and it's gotten better over the years, but just find out what your consistency is, go live in that, and then just strive to just be a little bit better. Do a little bit more calls, feel a little more comfortable. Like I can sit down straight, and I actually built a phone booth in my office. It's freaking just this little cubby where I'll go in there for hours and just rip through all the stuff I need to do. I could not do that in the beginning of my career. I think we all have ADHD. It's hard as a salesperson to sit down that long, but I'm like, I've developed a skill where I can go do that. I can kind of be numb to the amount of times I have to keep going to do something. And to the point where my wife's like, David, I think people are gonna put restraining orders on you. And I'm like, let them, that's all good. Like, I need to know, are they part of my future? Or are they part of my past? And I will keep calling them until they tell me, go to hell, don't ever call me again, which is awesome. You're part of my past. Or, okay, you know what? I love your persistence. And I've actually gotten listings from people going like, I love your persistence and I want someone like that representing me in the marketplace. Sick. So happy I made all these damn calls to you. So happy I didn't stop following up. Like, it works. Either way, it works, right? So just hope that could be an insight and a little bit for all of you guys, and just go crush it and understand that we have one of the best career opportunities in the world, which is selling real estate, working with some awesome families. We don't have to build the homes. We don't have to freaking lend the money to fund the homes. We don't have to get called after when the fucking roof fails and they need a new roofer. We just have to go be hanging out with them and help them do the fun part of it, right? Like, it's just, I remind myself all the time about like what hard work is, and making 100 calls a day. Some of these people don't have the opportunity that we would do, would trade with us in a heartbeat. So don't take advantage of it. Just be grateful for it and go push through and go have your unfair advantage, if you will, unfair results. My mom's a doctor and I make more money than her. Doesn't drive her crazy, but she's like, I don't get it. And I'm like, it's all good, Mom. I'm just grateful that you did what you did and I'm over here doing what I'm doing. But she's like, I don't get it, because she can see my bank account and I make way more than her. She's like, you literally make 4 times what I make. And I'm a freaking doctor. I got a PhD, all these years of schooling. And I'm like, yeah, but like, you took opportunity, you capitalized. I see my opportunity, I'm capitalizing. Everyone has different limits to different stuff, but real estate is a sick business. And she jokingly was like, had I known it was this lucrative, I would have just done that. Right? So hope that be like a little bit of encouragement to all you guys, and just connect with more people around you that are doing really well. And that's what our whole team is about. And that's why we partnered up with Miscula. They're an awesome group of individuals, bring us some really quality leads. And that's why I've committed to them, saying, hey, I'm good to give you guys an hour of my time. So many people try to call me for stuff, and I'm like, don't ever talk to me. I'm sure, Emmanuel, if you're still on this call, you can attest how hard it is to even get me on a phone. An easy thing. But he's very persistent. He keeps his follow up, and I do answer his calls when I'm able to. And just be around good people, guys, and just go crush it.
Okay, well, let's go. I know that every single one of us right now is motivated to go back and run these leads to the ground. He said 100 calls today. I don't know who's going to be up for that challenge. So I just want to thank everyone for tuning in today. And just like Marie Jordan said, you guys can go back to Facebook later on today, go back to the recording. Make sure you guys write notes, not just, it's great to listen and be there. Write your notes and put them to practice. And then I want to remind you that tomorrow, Thursday, same time, 1 p.m., we have our lead calling game show where we review all the recordings from you guys. And then you guys are able to give feedback amongst each other, and always great time to nurture each other. So thank you guys so much. David Rubio, thank you for your time as well.
My pleasure, guys. Everyone have a great one. God bless, okay?